This is kind of like a three-part webinar series that we're going to be doing in the month of September here. The first day we're going to be talking about what I'm going to show you in just a moment, which is the webinar we're currently doing today, September 2nd. And this is creating a product commercial. Just kind of showing you various ways that you can utilize Cartoon Animator 4 and different scenarios. Now, there may be a lot of overlap between certain techniques and certain tools that we use in all three of these webinars. But today we're just going to focus on creating a product, and you can see all of the outline information here. Yeah, pretty simple stuff. There's nothing really too difficult in today's webinar. And of course, if you have any questions, as always, I'm available for the Q&A session that we have at the very end of our webinar. So put your questions in the QA section of the Zoom panel there, and I will get to those questions later on. All right, and as always, we are sending out a survey for you guys. If you fill out the survey for us, check your email. You'll get a 10% discount for the content store. And yeah, you can use that on whatever you want in the content store. What else are we missing? Oh yes, we are recording this live as well. So if you miss anything, or if I go too fast, you want to review on your own time, we will be sending out a video link to all people who registered for today's webinar. So fret not, if you miss something, then you can always review it later on the video that we send you. And we are live broadcasting on YouTube as well. So, but just be aware, any comments on the YouTube presentation, I'm not going to be answering comments from YouTube, only from the Zoom panel here in the Q&A section. All right, I think that about covers the beginning stuff. As well, as always, we have a weekly content store special. If you want to get this Legend of Dragon, it's going to be available for the next, I think, an hour or so. So this refreshes at around 9 a.m. UTC. So just be aware of that. If you want to get this Legend of Dragon for $9, $5, whatever, for iContent, get it in the next hour. You can probably purchase it in the background while I'm blabbering on. But it's going to be refreshing into something that is going to be Cartoon Animator related at the end of this webinar. So I'll keep this open and we'll come back to it a little bit later on. I'll throw the link in the chat window for you guys. You can also, periodically throw stuff in the chat window. Okay, so I guess this has just been updated. So I'm an hour off by when it's supposed to be updated. Here we go. So sorry guys, you missed the dragon. Now we have this Buddy Plaza. This is a Cartoon Animator 4 related. So I'll throw this link in the chat window for you there. And yeah, you can pick this up. You have a week basically to get this. So I think we've already put it in the chat window there. So I'll put it again just in case. Shazam! There we go. Okay, that about covers all the introductory stuff. We're going to be getting to the live demo in just a moment. First of all, I'm going to show you the video for the live demo. This is a really super cheesy video that I did about a year ago now, I think. And I'm going to be kind of showing you how to do certain parts of this video. Now, rest assured, we are going to be sending you all the project files. So I have all the project files saved. You can see here, I'm going to be sending you all these project files so you can review on your own time. There's also an Adobe Premiere project file that we'll include with that. So yeah, whenever you want to deconstruct it on your own time, you have all these different projects available. Okay, so let's go ahead and load up the video first. Ever feel like the world is just passing you by? Like you keep walking and walking, but your life is going nowhere? Like you're literally trying to walk forward, but the animator of your project won't allow you to change your transform position? Well, luckily, we've got just the thing for you. Introducing the Thingamabob, a strange-looking but life-saving companion that can help you move with its magical feet thingies. Now you can party like a normal human. Everyone loves a guy who can move. The Thingamabob is also a loyal companion for those who are lacking in the friends department. Bring your Thingamabob to the gym as a motivator. Car trouble? Leave it to Thingamabob. Thingamabob can even help you create awkward small talk in the elevator. Who could that be in the bathroom? Thingamabob, you little scamp. So, what are you waiting for? Order your very own thingamabob today for the low, low price of only $299,999.99. All right. I don't know if you asked me, that's a steal for a thingamabob. But yeah, apologies for the super cheesy commercial, but that's what we're going to be kind of reviewing, and we're going to be recreating the first two scenes of that project as we go through the live demo here. Okay, so the first project, I'm going to load up the first one first here. We have all these projects already saved, so I'm going to load up the first one just to kind of show you what exactly we're going to recreate. So we're going to load up this first commercial project in Cartoon Animator. It should load momentarily. Unless I clicked and dragged it to the wrong area. Maybe I'll just have to load it this way. Let's try this way. If it didn't click and drag, this should work. Unless I messed something up here. Oh, and Cartoon Animator just shut down. All right, let's load it up again. You'll have to kind of, I'm just going to run through I'm going to do the first part, I guess, without loading up this project, since there seems to be an issue with loading that up. So I'll just go ahead and start from scratch then. Basically, the first part of the project is we're going to have that guy on the city street just kind of walking. And I'm going to show you some quick animation stuff, like the characters walking without transform movements and with transform movements. And then we're going to customize our own movements. And then for the second part, we're going to talk about creating thingamabob, creating a custom character, the various ways you can create him. And then I'm going to throw in some weather and some elastic motions and a title. All right, coolio. So let's get started first with the scene project here. I'm going to go over to scene. So everyone should have these scenes embedded with their Cartoon Animator 4. And we are using that one for the outdoor scene. All you need to do is just double click it. And boom, you have everything in your scene here. Now, in case you're not aware, scenes are different from projects. If we right click on everything, if we click on the scene here, we can convert individual items to props, okay? Just keep in mind a scene is something that you save that's a collection of a bunch of props. Very important to note. So if you have, you've created a scene that you want to keep with a collection of props, you can save it as a scene. And if you have questions about that, I'll show you how to do it later. But, if you want to convert everything to a prop, you can just simply select the scene item right here in the scene manager, right click and select convert to prop. And now everything's a prop. All right. If I want to, I can click on all the props, right click, convert to scene. And now everything's a scene. So say I wanted a scene without this traffic light. Say I wanted to get rid of this building here. All right, maybe move this building over a little bit. Make it a bit smaller. Right, then I can go ahead and select everything in my scene. Go to my content manager, go to custom, and enter scene. We'll just call this plus, or click the plus button and call this custom lame scene. Okay, so then if I start a new project, okay, I can load in custom lame scene like this. All right, so it loads in exactly like we had it before. And also go over to our template scenes and load in the, where is it, outdoor scene here. Okay, so keep in mind that when we do that, it's going to replace all the previous scene stuff. So if I go to the scene manager, everything is replaced. Okay, it doesn't add on to the previous scene. It will replace the previous scene. All right, cool. So let's get started on our character. We're going to bring our actor in. Let's just go ahead and use our G3 character, the elastic motions dude. These are characters from Crazy Talk Animator 3, actually. I'm going to go ahead and bring in this elastic folks dude. All right, let's bring him in to walk on the sidewalk. And there he is. And bring him over here. Now, if you want to flip your character, very basic options to flip your character, just go up here and select this flip. Okay, horizontal flip. Up, up, up. There we go. You can also vertically flip your character. Don't know why you want to do that unless he's walking on the moon or something. But yeah, that's how you can horizontally flip your character. Well, make sure the character is selected first, and then go horizontal flip. All right, cool. So we have our character horizontally flipped there. Now what we're going to do is we are going to create a walk cycle for our character. And we're just going to use the basic walk cycle that's included with Cartoon Animator 4, and we're going to modify it a little bit. So I'm going to go to the animation tab over here, and we're going to go to motion. And under motion, G3 human right here, we have elastic folks side. Okay, so this is an elastic folks character, a G3 character, basic G3 character. So we'll just load in elastic folks side, and there's a folder, another subfolder called move. And here in move, you'll find jumps, you'll find runs, you'll find steps, you'll find even Superman flies. And the basic one we're going to be using here is walk. All right. So if I double click and select walk, my character will have a jaunty kind of walk that'll just kind of go a little bit too fast. Since we want to make it more like depressing and sad at the beginning of the commercial, right? Because it kind of, when Thingamabob appears, suddenly it gets crazy and happy. But before, this guy is lonely and he's just kind of walking along the street. So what we're going to do to modify that walk is we're going to go into the timeline here. You can also press the F3 hotkey. And what I like to do is I like to have this option enabled here on the timeline, which is called object related track. And that makes sure that any object you select in the scene, so if I select this building in the back, you'll see that will appear on the timeline. And that's the only thing that will appear on the timeline. If I select my character, it'll change to elastic folks male, yada, yada. If I select this road, it'll select road. Okay, and like 99% of the time I have this enabled because generally when I want to select something, I want that track to come up in the timeline there. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the motion track, and we can see here our walking clip. You can click and drag in the top and just slide it along like this. Make him walk forward and backward. You can see his walking is a little too cheesy for me for the depressed walk. If I press space, you see he'll walk like that. And I can loop it if I go, if I select the clip right here, and I have the option here now to change the speed or loop it. You can use Alt-L and Alt-S. I can just loop it like this 3 times, and he'll walk along like this. All right. Nothing too complicated about that. I'm going to Control-Z and undo that because what I want to do is I want to make that walk slower. And the easiest way to make it slower is to use the stretch, the speed option right here, and just stretch it maybe to, let's go about 40 frames or something like that, maybe twice as long. So now you can see he'll just kind of walk a lot slower. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop this for as long as I want. It doesn't really matter. Let's just go and go to the loop option here and then loop it, blah, 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 a whole bunch of times. Doop, doop. So now he's walking a lot slower. But we want to change a couple things here. His arms are moving too much for a sad walk. I'm going to give him like the old Charlie Brown walk where he's head down and arms straight kind of thing. So there's a couple things we need to do here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the head position, and the way we're going to do that is go into the 2D motion key editor. This is for a keyframe editor for your character's body, and we're just going to take the head and click the head bone. You can click it over here as well and rotate it and move it down like that. Now he's still smiling, which looks weird, but we're going to change that in just a moment. No smiling in this section of our commercial. And of course, make sure you do this at frame 1, because when you do this at frame 1, it's going to last throughout the entire duration of your character's animation, that animation clip, whether it's looped or not. Okay, you can maybe take the hip and rotate it slightly. Well, not the hip, whoops. We'd want to have the feet locked if we're doing the hip, but I think we'll leave it the way it is. Just take his chest and maybe move it down a little bit. Okay, I think he's sad enough. All right, we can keep going all day. But now what we're going to have this. Okay, so he's just walking like this, which is fine. But we want to make sure that the arms aren't moving. Okay, so what I'm going to do is right now we have to go up to the clip. So this clip contains a bunch of data. In case you didn't know, you can right click on the clip and you can go sample motion clip, and you can go like all parts or selected parts. Now let's just try all parts first. I'm going to undo this afterwards. If I go sample all parts, don't worry about that. Just press OK. what's going to happen is it's going to create keyframes in every track. So you can modify these keyframes. If you're not familiar with what keyframes are, don't worry about that. But these are just ways you can modify the animation. I'm going to Control Z and undo that. You can see it'll just go back up like this. And then if I want, I can maybe only sample the arms. So if I right click, I can go sample motion clip and sample selected parts. Okay. And we're going to select the left arm and right arm. Okay, only these two. And then go ahead and sample and optimize key. We'll talk about that later if you want, but just go ahead and sample. And basically you can see here, if we go down to, we have to select the tracks. We need to select our right arm and left arm tracks. Maybe you don't need the hip or anything like that. You'll see it creates keyframes in only the right arm track and only the left arm track. And if we don't want the those arms to move, say for example right here, I can click and drag and delete all those keyframes in the beginning of the right arm track. What's going to happen now is our right arm. Now this is a little bit tricky because when you horizontally flip your character, it's actually going to be switched from his right arm to his left arm. So now the arm that's on the right is actually the character's right arm. So don't let that confuse you. It's kind of a weird thing that, you know, just is in Cartoon Animator 4. We can't, but now you can see the right arm is not swinging. And then here it starts swinging. As soon as we hit these keyframes, then it starts swinging. Okay. And the left arm, if we want the left arm to be stationary for the entire time, we can click and drag in that track as well and delete all those keyframes. And now we have, you know, the lower arm is still moving, but the upper arm is not. Okay. If we want to sample the lower arm, we can do so as well. Of course, we can just, you know, click our clip and right click and sample motion clip, selected parts. Here you can select left arm, left hand. Okay. Left hand, and that'll kind of be like the forearm and all that stuff. We're not going to worry about that right now because I'm going to show you an easier way to do it as opposed to deleting all these keyframes. I'm going to Control Z this a couple times and get all our keyframes back, and then we're going to just unsample it. You can also just bake it as well. Flatten motion clip is the opposite of sample it. But I'm going to show you the easiest way to do this. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove motion. Okay, so this is for the entire duration of the walk. I'm going to remove the motion, and I'm going to select my right arm. And we can select the right forearm. No, we'll keep it left arm and right arm. Okay, so we won't select the forearm in this case and just go remove. Now it's going to pop the arms out like this, and this is kind of a weird, I think kind of a buggy thing, but don't worry about it. It's easy to fix. Just take your arms back using the 2D motion key editor. Here we go. Throw this one like this. Of course, make sure you're doing this at frame 1. And we'll take this arm down like that. There you go. That looks like a kind of dejected kind of guy. You can even move the shoulder down a little bit as well if you want. Boom. All right. So what's going to happen now is he'll move, but you know his forearms will move. And if you want to remove the motion from the forearms as well, you know, if you want to really exaggerate it, you can do the same thing. Again, just right click and select remove motion. And this time we're going to select the forearms. So forearm left, forearm right, and remove. And there we go. So now, there you go. Okay, now a couple things here. I think he's kind of looking too far towards the right. He's kind of looking at us and smiling, which looks a little bit creepy. So what I'm going to do is we're going to focus on the face now. So I think we've got the body stuff down. That's our depressed walk. What I'm going to do is focus on the face. And to the face stuff, we're going to use the face key editor. Okay, so previously we used the 2D motion key editor for the body. Now we're going to use the face key editor. And we're going to do all this stuff at frame 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this little arrow gizmo in the middle. We're going to click and drag it. And we're going to move our character like his head this direction. Okay. And now he's facing a little bit more forward. If you have a 360 head, it can go further, but this is just kind of a G3 regular character. So I'll put him like that. And then what I'm going to do is go to template. And this is just a face key template you can use to create expressions on your character. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to go to sad, since he's of course sad. We'll click on this sad, pretty sad, right? If you don't want to, if you don't want it to be that sad, you can go to user expression slider and change the value from 0 to 100. Right? Maybe he's not super sad. He's just kind of like, 60% sad. So we'll change the expression slider to 60. Okay, I think we're good. And I'll go ahead and close that down. So what's going to happen now? There he is, sad and whatever. Okay, and that's our sad walk. Okay, so we've improved it quite a bit in just a few seconds there. Now, what you can do is you can actually save this motion to your character's action menu if you want. So say, for example, if I right click on my character, these characters have a big action menu full of a bunch of stuff. If you want to add something to your action menu, you can do so really easily. So you can easily access the depressed walk again. Okay, there's a few different ways you can do this. I'm going to go to collect clip here. This is basically where you save your motions, save your animations. Now we only need like one cycle. So that's about, I think it was 39 frames. Okay, 39 frames. So you can see here those little borders between the clips when we loop them. That's where we need to that's all we need to take care of. So let's go ahead and click and drag in the collect clip track from frame 1 to frame 39. Right click, and you can select add to action menu. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Add to action menu. We'll call it sad man walk. Okay, another thing you can do is you can right click and you can select export perform. Perform will be both the facial and the body animation. So we can go export perform and we can export this. Let's just call it on our desktop. We'll call it sad man walk perform. And give that a save. And then what we can do is if we want, we can just right click on our character and remove all that animation. Now he's back like this. We can give him like any pose, like a starting walk pose like this. And then let's go to the action menu. And where is it? Sad man walk down at the bottom. Okay. And you can see he'll transition from here to the sad man walk. But notice he'll kind of jerk into that position. And that's something we don't want. So from here to here, we want to extend that transition area right here. So at this end of the second clip, you can see there's a little, if I zoom in, you can see there's a little transition area there. We can just click and drag that and expand it. Okay. And that should fix it. So maybe make it a bit longer. Okay, good enough for me. So now he's from here to here, he's slowly transitioning and his expression also transitions like that. Okay. Oh, I feel so bad laughing at this guy, but he looks so funny when he's sad. Anyways, okay, I think that's about it. That's how you can save it. And also, you'd have that file on your desktop, sad man walk perform. What you can do is you can also save that. Let's see, we can like right click and copy this file here, or maybe cut it off the desktop and Cartoon Animator 4. Then you can go over to your animation, the custom tab and custom perform. You can right click in there and just go to find file. It'll be an empty folder in my case, since I don't have much in there. Perform right here, and you can just paste that in. Right now there's sad man walk perform in that folder as well. And what we can do is we can take any actor. Let's take I don't know. Let's take the same guy with the let's take a different character, female character with the office outfit. And then you can apply the same thing to her as well. So if we have her, let's just right click and make sure we do this at frame 1 here. Animation, sad man walk perform, apply to her. Okay, so you can see we can apply the same thing to her now. And if we want, of course, we can flip her the other direction. So just a couple of sad mopes walking down the street. And we can go to our motion tab again and just loop it a few times. They're going to be a little bit off because he has the start clip on it, but that actually works quite well because it makes it look a little bit different. Okay, good enough for me. We'll get her out of there since she's not part of the commercial. You're cut. All right, that's how you can create the sad moping dude walking. And what you can do to have your character have the cloud and the weather over top of him. That's quite easy to do. That's actually from a content pack you need to purchase from the content store. We go to our scene manager here under template. Oops, not scene. We need to go to props. Okay, so there's a content pack. I'm going to zoom this out a little bit here. Is called a G3 Animated Props Weather Maker. Okay, maybe we can put this in the chat window for you a little bit later. But let's go ahead and go to, there's a bunch of cool stuff in here, weather effects, weather components. I'm going to go to weather components and add a couple of them separately. So clouds, let's just use a dark rain cloud over top of this guy. So click and drag it in. And let's position it directly over his head. So he's having a bad day. And then we're going to go to, there's a rain one as well. And there is a, where is it? Drizzle. You can click and drag the drizzle. Drizzle. And of course, this drizzle is quite large because it's meant for an entire scene. But we can kind of just make it smaller like this. Zoop, and place it, excuse me, where the cloud is. Maybe make it a bit smaller. And we're going to click this button right here and drag it. So make it go behind the cloud. You can see you can move it up and back and forth on the Z-axis there using this little gizmo in the front. And then what you can do is you can right click on the cloud, go to action menu and go to like thunder flash. Okay, it just flashes like that. And we'll go back to frame one. Let's go to our scene manager and select our drizzle. Let's make this drizzle a little bit longer, just like this. And I'm going to right click it, action menu, and drizzle loop. Okay, so hopefully you can see that drizzle looping there. And then we can, with the drizzle selected, press F3 and go into our timeline, the motion track, and you can just click and drag this for as long as you want to loop it. By the way, I can hold my Alt mouse button and scroll my mouse wheel to zoom in and out. This is very useful, hot tip, I guess you can call it. Hold the Alt key and scroll your mouse wheel in and out to zoom out of your timeline. Very useful for situations like this where I want to loop it indefinitely. Okay, and then maybe at this point again, we can do another thunder flash. Okay, so then we'll have one thunder flash, raining, another thunder flash, and we want to make this guy's sad man walk loop a bit more too. There you go. Okay, so we have the dude, our sad dude walking along the street right here in the rain. His life just isn't going too well. Okay, so that's that. We need to get to a couple other things first, and we can add some music and stuff a little bit later on, but I want to focus now on getting the thingamabob made because that takes a little bit of time. There's a couple ways you can do it, and I'll show you both ways. Let's just save it as our custom project for now, in case we want to come back to it, which we do. Let's call it step one, and we'll bring thingamabob in or whatever. Actually, we have to have our characters running in the background too. But let's go ahead and start a new project now. And what we're going to do is we're going to create an actor, the actor thingamabob. And let's just twirl all this stuff up. What we're going to do is we're going to use a G3 template. Okay, you can see under G3, there is a G3 template called G3 spline. Now, thingamabob, he's a fairly simple character. He just has one single spline. So we're just going to go ahead and throw in the spline template right here. You can use spine motion bone, spine dummy, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go ahead and use spine dummy. Okay, and that basically adds a character to our scene. So this spine dummy is actually now considered a character. You can see under G3 actor, spine dummy. Okay, nothing too special about that, but we need to replace this boring white column, cylinder, whatever it is, to a thingamabob. All right, so the way we can do that is select it and go over here to your composer mode. And you can see it's just made of a couple of bones. Well, I should probably show you, you can animate this first. You can go down here to 3D Motion Key Editor and you can take these bones and, okay, so move it around. The bottom is kind of pinned and good enough. All right, just to show you that. Control Z, and let's go back to composer mode. Now in composer mode, select the base bone here and then go to your sprite editor. The sprite editor is basically every character is just made up of sprites. And sprites correspond with layers in Photoshop. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. You can see here the base sprite, the base bone has assigned a single sprite, which is this thing right here. The other bones, they don't have sprites. Okay, you can see nothing in there. So let's select the base bone. And what we want to do is we want to replace this one, this boring one here. So we can go up to replace current sprite. And we can just replace it with a thingamabob background. Now this is just an image. Basically I just took the poop emoji and turned it green, which sounds kind of nasty, but you can select that and it's going to replace it with thingamabob. All right, this is our base for thingamabob. And we're going to add some stuff in later. Now you can resize this sprite if you want. There's a couple things you can do. You can resize the sprite or you can resize the bones as well. So if I resize the sprite, I can do like this or whatever. I'm going to Control Z that. Fairly simple. And the way you can tell that you're resizing your sprite and not resizing your bones is the selection box is green. Notice the selection box is green when I'm doing sprite editing. I'm going to close this down now, so we don't need that anymore. And you can also go to bones, bone editor over here, and you can move these bones as well. So if I move this bone up like that, it's going to move the entire structure. And I can take this top bone and I can move it down. You want to kind of try and do this evenly. So you can take this bone and move this one down as well. Okay. Try and do it relatively evenly. Zoop. This one can probably go down a little bit. There we go. And then this top bone, you can rotate it so it meets up with the tip of the poop or the thingamabob. All right. And you can also take this nub here and move that nub down. Okay, so now we have this very, very simple bone structure. And if you want to preview this, you can preview and you can move it around like this. Ooh, see, it's going to stretch and twirl Mr. Thingamabob. All right. Nothing too complex there. I'll stop the preview and close that down. There's all kinds of other bone editing stuff you can do. And if you have questions, I can show you later. Okay, but now we have our thingamabob, but it doesn't have a face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add a face. And when you're in composer mode, you can go over to the content manager here and go to head. And in head, there's a section called face. So you can throw in any faces like this. You can see there's a background. So the face is basically just the background. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I have a number of different content packs I've purchased as well. Under head, so the head is going to be the entire head. Now there's there's actually three ways we can create Mr. Thingamabob or Mrs. Thingamabob, whatever. We can actually create make the entire character a head, or we can make the character have a body, or we can make the character, we can make the character a prop as well. So there's three ways. And I'll try and show you the first two ways since we're kind of limited on time here. But I'm going to go to a head here, and under head, there's a bunch of different heads you can just throw into your character. Now, let's go ahead and use. You can throw any of these in. Now, there's a cool pack called the 360 Face Tool content pack, which you can purchase from the content store as well. You can just like Google all this stuff, and it'll throw it up. There's template heads and there's sample heads. I was actually experimenting earlier today, and I found this one sample head was kind of funny. This Sandra character looks like a Powerpuff character or something. So you can click and drag this head. Now, keep in mind when you click and drag this head, you can click and drag it onto any bone that you want. So notice the bone will highlight green. And in this case, I want to choose a bone that's pretty central, like maybe this second lowest bone here, or the third bone. I think we'll go for the third bone in this case. Okay, so I can release my left mouse button, and it will apply that head. Now, we're going to go to our layer manager here, And you can see we've applied a head, which contains, a whole bunch of different sprites on it. You can make them all invisible. Let's make the head larger first. So we're going to select the head and make it larger. Okay, and maybe move it. Oops, you don't want to move the eye separately. Make sure that you have the head selected, and move it maybe more central like this to where the bone is. Maybe the nose can be right on the nub of the bone there. We've connected it to bone 3. So, all right, but there's a lot of stuff we don't need in this case. We don't need the back hair. So I'll just go ahead and make that invisible. Okay, we don't need the right ear. We don't need the left ear. We don't need the face. And notice that when I make the face invisible, that the back hair will suddenly, the front hair will suddenly be crazy big because it's masked out by the face earlier. And we'll talk about masking if you want later, but just basically make all this stuff invisible that you don't want. We don't want the nose, and we don't want this front hair. Okay, so now we have Mr. Poop or Mr. Thingamabob that has the face, and you can expand and change the size of all these facial features on our character. But I think that looks fine. Looks fine and dandy. So what we have now is we have a character that is a face with a body. Okay, so this bone 1 layer right here, that's actually a body. And I'll show you the difference between those two. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the stage mode. And because we have our character as a body, what I can do is I can go to the animation tab here, and under templates, under G3 human, G3 spine rather, we have a number of different templates here, a number of different animation templates. So for example, this hit, if we apply that to our character, boing, see it'll just kind of move. We have this jump and roll. Okay, so I can jump and roll again, like that. We have the jump and tumble. So all of these animations, these come embedded with Cartoon Animator 4, and you can apply these all to your spine characters. So let's jump high maybe. I want to show you the different levels here. There's jump 2, jump 1, and of course you can modify all these ones like I showed you earlier. The jump loop. Okay, and so on and so forth. You can roll and roll end and go back into. So if we play all these back, it'll be like a weird Mr. Thingamabob dance. Okay, so the advantage of having your character have a body like this is that you can use these templates. You can animate your character in maybe a bit more variety of ways using the motion key editor. Again, you can also use the motion key editor separately and do your own. So, you can move our character around like this, blah, 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 blah. If you want, you can have stretch bone enabled and stretch them out like this. Now notice there's a pin in the bottom of the character right here where bone 1 is. And that's why when we stretch bone, it's kind of stretching out like that. Okay. When we enable stretch bone. So you can have your character just like that. Okay, maybe he turns into a leaf. He turns from a lowly piece of poop into a beautiful leaf. Okay, but that's the advantage of having your character as having a bone structure on your character. Now, if you decide, say for example, I just want this character to just be a head. I don't want it to have a bone structure or anything. What you can do to save your character first is go to your actor tab, go to custom here, and go to custom character. And I think I saved it previously. Yeah, I'll just write over this one. So I'll just press plus here. And that'll have our character saved as a thingamabob. And we can apply an army of thingamabobs to our scene. So now we have the template saved. Now, the other option is if you want to save it as a head. So let's go back to our composer mode here. Don't worry about all that nonsense. Just basically seeing animation stuff. We're going to select our character, go back to the layer manager here. And if we make our layer, our body invisible, this is what happens. So only just be the eyes. Okay, so this is our body down here. Another option I can use is I can select my character's face right here. And the face is, if you can recall, this thing right here. What we can do is we can replace that face with a thingamabob face. So to do that, I can go to the sprite editor right here. And we have the face selected. right here and just replace it just like we did earlier. So replace current sprite and replace that with this one. And it'll be this. We can make it a little bit larger. We want to make it roughly the same size as the body. So maybe like this. And maybe it has to be moved a little bit to the right. Okay, I'm not going to be too picky. That looks fine. Okay, so now we have a face background. And if we make our body invisible, you can see the different size difference a little bit, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm just going to make the body invisible. And now we have a face. So the cool thing about this is what I can do is I can use all the facial animation stuff now. Whereas previously, if I have the body, I'm going to show you first this here. So I'm going to make the face, this face invisible and only have the body visible. Okay, so then if we go to our facial puppet tool right here, what's going to happen is you can see my eyes and everything will move, but my body won't really move. Now I can customize my body to move, like I can animate my body along with my head, with my face. But notice that when I move my character's eyes and mouth and stuff around, it's not going to move the body. Now, in a shapeless blob like Mr. Thingamabob here, it doesn't really matter because there's no lines that are kind of going to be moving around. It's just a green outline. But if you have something more complicated, this can create an issue to make it look unrealistic. So what you want to do in that case, the easiest way to change that is to do what I was doing before. Go to composer mode here, continue. And like I was doing earlier, make the body invisible and make the face visible. Okay. So what we're going to do now, let's make this a little bit larger just to get the size right. Okay, so now if I go back to stage mode, notice my character is going to animate differently. So I'm going to go to the face puppet tool again and preview. And now you can see, whoops. So this way it looks okay, but that way it kind of switches sprites to the old head. All right, so that's an issue. But this side looks okay. All right, so it's kind of creating a little bit of distance. But what I'm going to do now is in the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to customize, refine the head shape. So to do that, we need to go back into composer mode. And this gets into the 3D 360 head creation, which I haven't done in a while, but it's fairly straightforward. Just go to your 360 head creator right here. And what you can do is you can preview and notice that, boink, right when I get to that point, my sprite is switching. Whoops, which is what we don't want. This side it's not. Okay, this side it is. So what we need to do is you need to fix that. And the way to fix it is when your character is over here, just press this left button over here on the 360 head creator and go to your sprite editor. And whoops, you need to go to the left mode right here. Okay, you can see left, the face. We need to replace the sprite for the face. So again, same thing. Replace current sprite with this one. And we'll need to resize that a little bit. I think it worked out just fine since we resized it earlier. So right here, and then we have right here. Now we can deal with the masking for the eyes a little bit later on, but that's basically what we want to start off with there. So close that down, go back into the 360 head creator here. And now we have this. At this point here, it's still going to be like this, but what we can do is up here, everything's the same. Down here, everything's the same. What we can do at this point is we can actually just select this one and go to sprite. Here's another way you can do it as well. I should have probably done this way instead of gone to the sprite editor. I'm going to just replace this sprite right here with the thingamabob. This is the way you should do it instead of going to the sprite editor separately. And that should replace it. And we'll select this one, replace with the thingamabob. There you go. Okay, so now we have thingamabob here, thingamabob there, and thingamabob there. Now the size, of course, is a little bit different. And the way you can adjust the size is we're going to use this onion tool right here. So onion layer, let's go ahead and select that, and then select our middle area right there. So we need to kind of, the shaded background one is the middle profile. We need to resize this a little bit. So it's maybe this big right here. And then go over layer mode there, and then do the same thing. If we select the left, and use our onion mode for this partial left. Then we need to resize that just like that. Okay, and then we can go out of onion mode. And now if we preview, we have looking good. Okay, now if we're picky, another thing we can do is we can go down to the, I'm going to be picky just for the heck of it. You can change the transform position as well. So middle, and I think the transform position is already okay. I'm going to change deform though. So over here, he's like this, and then to the side, we can take these points over here and kind of move them a little bit like this. So just like it looks like he's a little bit more to the side. Let's go over here and do the same thing. Or actually, it's just stick on one side for now because we can actually mirror it later. And then down here, let's do something like take all these middle points here or on the side and kind of stretch them down this way. And these points here and stretch them up that way. You just need to get further down. Okay, but you kind of get the point there. And then top left, do the same thing. Just kind of take these points and kind of crunch them together up there. And take these points. And I'm doing like a really quick job here. Probably if you were doing something professional, you'd want to spend a bit more time on it. But now we have this. So if I go left to the left and then stretching up like that, and then stretching up, stretching down. So it's a bit more like there's some deforming going on there. We'll stop the preview. And what you can do is here at this point here, just use this key right here, average between 2 points, and select this point and that point. Okay, and here do the same thing. Use this average tool between this point and that point. And then here, do the same thing, average tool between this point and that point. Okay, so that makes it a little bit better. And then what you can do, of course, is just select your points right here and mirror it. So use the mirror option and mirror selected or all, doesn't matter in this case. We'll just mirror selected to the top. Apply that. So now this point is the opposite. Do the same thing over here. Mirror target selected. It's the same thing over there. And then bottom left, apply. And everything is currently mirrored. Fantastic. Okay, so now we have our character, the eyes move along with the body. All right, so what he is right now is he's just a head, basically. All right. Boop, 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 boop. And I like the way he animates. He kind of animates like a dynamic blob. And if we want to save this head, let me just go to our content manager, go to the head tab, go to custom, and go to head, and save him as a head. So I've already done that. We'll just overwrite this one. Okay. And that should save in just a moment. There we go. Coolio. So what we can do now is go back to stage mode. And that's kind of how you can create 2 different types of thingamabobs. The other way you can create a thingamabob is to import a prop. And before we get into the usefulness for the props, I'm going to show you how to create the title, since one of the main learning points today was creating the title that we bring in. So let's set up our title screen where thingamabob is introduced. Let's just go to our scene, and there's some scene templates, some backgrounds here, image layers, whatever you want. I think in the background we have, no, let's just go to scene, and we should have our, let's go to here and general background. This is available for everyone as well, should be. General background. And let's just throw in this background scene here. So all this is just kind of some stage that you can throw into your scene. Actually, it is a scene in itself, but there you go. Okay, so this is the scene for introducing Mr. Thingamabob. We'll just put it somewhere like this, and then place him a little further down. Cool. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you for the last part of this webinar, I'm going to show you bringing in a title and the various ways you can do that. So let's go ahead to our folder here, our work folder. And we have a title here. This is just a PNG file that I created in like 2 seconds in Photoshop. Thingamabob like this. Now, what I can do to bring this in is in a dynamic way. Say I have like a title of my company or something, or this ludicrous price for a thingamabob. What I can do is I can just bring that in and just like this, and bring it as a prop. Okay. So there's certain advantages to bringing things in as props, and I'll show you that right now. Let's just move it in front of Mr. Thingamabob there. I'm not sure why I keep on calling him Mr. Thingamabob, but you can resize that, whatever you want. So say Mr. Thingamabob is on the screen, and what we're going to do is go over to elastic motions. So elastic motions are pretty cool. They're really, really quick and easy ways to animate anything in any prop in your scene, really. The best way to do that is we're going to go over to, I'll just kind of demonstrate a couple of them for you. Now, these emphasis FFD clips, these are in a separate content pack that you need to purchase, but everyone should have these entrance and exit ones. And it's also this G3 elastic motions one, come and go, is also a content pack. But I'll show you a couple of the entrance ones. So say, for example, you wanted your, title to come in like in a really cool way. Well, you can do stuff like move, bounce. Okay, let's just remove the animation from Thingamabob since it'll be distracting. So move, bounce, boing, boing, boing. Now, I mean, if you're animating a title or something like that, it might take you, I don't know, at least a few minutes to animate that. Whereas you could, with the elastic motion, you can simply just apply it, and you can use this grow one as well. Whoops, make sure we select the prop. Okay, and that'll go to that side. Maybe if we go over here and grow. Okay, it'll do something like that. Another option would be if we just, you want to remove the object animation for each one of these. Roll, bounce. Okay, probably the beginning position we want to move a little bit over here. So, like that. Okay, I think you get the point. The various ways you can, bring things in and bring them out. I'm going to remove the animation right now. I'll go back to frame 1. There's also these FFD clips, which are kind of, these ones, the entrance clips kind of just move the title. The FFD clips, they deform them as well. So for example, if I use this jump in one or fall, for example, I'm not sure why it keeps on falling over there, but I'll move it over here, maybe because the root was over there. But. All right, so the thing about this one is it fades in. You can see it's fading right like that, and not too bad. Okay, we'll just remove the animation again, and let's try something like this increment one. So this one's kind of what I'm talking about. It kind of deforms the title like this. You can see it kind of brings it in like that. Now, if you do these FFD clips, what you want to do is go to your prop key editor, and you want to make sure that you go to deform, and you want to have smooth deformed object on. And the reason for that is it makes it a little bit smoother. So you can see like this, it's a little bit smoother and less triangular. Whereas if we don't have that on, you can see it gets a little bit angular and weird. Okay, so make sure you have that on if you're using these things, because it just smooths it out a bit more. So we can see, here's Thingamabob, right? Okay, and then after the Thingamabob title has had its day in the sun, we can go into use exit and use elastic motion clip like, let's try this thin out one. All right, so same thing. It'll just go back into whatever it was. Now, that's basically the usefulness for props with elastic motions. Now, if we had Thingamabob, we can do all those same things to Thingamabob as well if we saved him as a prop. The only problem is with a prop, you can't animate the face and everything. So what you can do, the little secret you can do is you can actually replace the prop with the actual face. So if we have a prop that looks exactly the same, that's exactly the same size, what I can do is Mr. Thingamabob here, let's launch him into Photoshop. I'll move my zoom panel out of the way here. We can just go ahead and launch into Photoshop like this, and just go ahead and open file. Oh, let's go ahead and actually that's for creating a new thing. We need to launch Photoshop first. because there's sometimes an issue where if you don't have Photoshop launched, it'll ask you to log in, and nobody wants to do that. I'm just too lazy. But let's go ahead and launch up Photoshop. And what I'm going to do is take my character into the composer mode here. This is the pipeline for creating a new object in Photoshop up there. So select your character, and we'll just launch into Photoshop. Where are we here? Down here. Launch PSD editor. Okay, and just everything's okay. Launch, launch, launch. And we'll just save him as an image file. So go to File, Save As, and just save it as a PNG. The entire thing is a PNG. Let's get it to our cache there. Let's replace this. This is an old one. Since I like the new image better. Excuse me. Okay, so then what we can do is we can go to CTA commercial and thingamabob prop. Let's go out of composer mode here. So this thingamabob will be, let's bring in the prop first so we can compare them. Thingamabob prop, click and drag it in and import it as a prop. Okay, so there you go, 2 identical thingamabobs. They are indistinguishable, which is going to give us some cool options. So then I have this thingamabob here will be invisible at first. So we'll just use the visibility, make him invisible up there. And this thingamabob will bring him in. So we'll go to Content Manager, Elastic Motions. We'll bring him in with some cool entrance elastic motion clip, like let's do, I don't know, rotate and scale. I don't even know what these are. Let's just click one. Oh, that's lame. Let's try one of these fast forward clips, and let's get rid of the title. Let's focus on thingamabob now. And of course, I want to remove the animation every time I do this. This ninja one looks pretty cool. Hopefully it's pretty cool. Okay, not bad. You didn't really see that because it was kind of off the edge there. It's like a ninja throwing star. Where did I apply it? Oh yeah, there you go. Okay, so pretty cool. And it would take you at least a few minutes to animate that, but here we have the, let's just start right here. So, and notice it kind of appears. It's 0 opacity, and then, whoa, whoa. And then when he lands, let's just move our scene here to accommodate that position where he lands in. And so we have it, we can actually just press F3 and go into our timeline here and just move that clip a little bit further ahead, since it's at like frame 90 or something. There you go. Okay. So right here, I'll just make him invisible. Boop. And then this frame, visible. And you can see your visibility keyframes right there under visible, by the way. So, wah, wah. And then here, where's other character spine dummy. Again, this is the thingamabob character. So let's make him visible. Let's place him in the exact position. All right, relatively. No one's going to be able to notice. And then just remove the animation like that. Okay, and then he would be visible at this frame. So we need to go to visibility here. And here, he's invisible. And then here, he is visible. In this frame, we want to make the other prop invisible. So we'll select the prop here and click here. And there you go. We've successfully swapped them out. Okay, so now we have bounces in, boing, boing, like that. Cool. And now we can animate him. So we go boing, boing, like that. And then we have the animatable character. So we can go to, face puppet and just record. Let's just record my voice. Just to make it easy here. Create script. Record voice. Hey everyone, my name is Thingamabob. Okay, sorry if that blew your ears. That kind of was a little bit loud towards the mic. Okay. Hey everyone, my name is Thingamabob. Okay, so that's just the voice, and his mouth is a little bit small. Let's actually make his mouth bigger. Well, I guess it's too late now since we have the prop and everything, but so you can, if you zoom in, you can see his mouth a bit better. The mouth is really small. Hey everyone, my name is Thingamabob. And of course, we want to add some, facial expression onto this. So go back and let's use the puppet tool and use a happy expression and just go. Hey everyone, my name is Thingamabob. Okay, so now we have this. If I move back a little bit, boing, let's close it down. And hey everyone, my name is Thingamabob. And there's various other ways you can change your character's expression. But that's for the next webinar. We're going to talk more about character facial animation and expression and all that stuff, and how you can kind of have a dialogue interaction between two characters. And that'll be next week, same bat time, same bat channel on Tuesday, I believe, September the 8th. And that's kind of what we're going to focus more on day 2. But today I just kind of want to show you that stuff. One final thing I'll show you is really easy how to add in music to your scene. And to do that, let's just go back to our scene that we saved earlier, our project. Step 1 here. We're going to save this one. So if you want to add music to your scene, like this beginning part here, press F3. And there's 3 tracks. 1 for sound effects, 2 for sound effects, 1 for music. So let's go into your music track and just double click it. And I don't think I even have that sad music. Maybe I do. Is it? Oops. It might be in the other folder. So let's go to this folder here. Yeah, so here we go. The sad day. Ben sound, by the way. All right, there you go. That's how you can get sad music in the background. All right. That's how you add the sound in anyways. Ben sound, by the way, I wanted to show you that the website. Really cool site. You can get a lot of royalty-free stuff. Of course, if you use it in a commercial production, you need to pay for it and let them know. So I'll put this in the chat window for you guys. One of the resources I've used multiple times over the last few years. Okay. Yeah, that's that. Hopefully you guys had audio. What's the next step here? That threw me off. Yeah, so that's the adding the music in. We do a sound effect in the same way. Just double click in there. I don't think I have sound effects in this folder. Let's go to, you can have an angel choir in the background. I'm trying to look for one if I have some rain or something like that. I have a bunch of them. Water flowing on street after the rain. Oh, that could work. Oh, wait, that's a little too, it seems like water's going down a drain or something. So you can just double click on the track there and adjust the volume, by the way, as well. Something a little bit more backgroundy, 25%. Still just kind of sounds like water going down a drain to me, but you get the point. Anyways, we're going to end it off and we're going to go to the Q&A because I'm a little bit over time here. So any questions, please put your questions in the Q&A panel there, and I will get to those right now. Phineas from Chiang Mai. Hey, Phineas, what's up? I'm doing great. That's the only question. How are you? So I'm doing Fantastic. Easy question. Okay, so a question from Kelly Tunes. Can you do a webinar about rigging a G3 character from scratch? You have one where you do start with another character and edit it. Most folks are going to draw their own characters. So I guess today I covered a very, very simple G3 character from scratch, just using those bone templates. There's also other bone templates as well on G3. So there's one for human. You can use these bone templates for human as well. These ones right here. There's also bone templates for ones with wings, like bats and stuff like that. The spine one is for stuff like worms or very simple. This is the one I use because it's very simple. There's also bone hand templates. Okay, so characters, if you want their bones to have hands, or their hands to have bones. Various animal templates like dogs and horses and stuff, and so on and so forth. Those are the templates you start from. Of course, you can also do free bone. These are just samples here. A free bone is just you just bring in your base bone and add your own bones, basically. So there's no template for that. Keep in mind that free bones, you won't be able to do any of the preset animations. You'd have to frame by frame animate that yourself. So yeah, I think we can possibly do that in the future. Right now, we're kind of occupied with skin gen stuff, but I think that yeah, maybe put that in the feedback form that we're going to send out to you there, Kelly. Because if we have that, then there's probably more of a drive to get that taken care of in terms of tutorial wise. So just a reminder, guys, I'm going to be I'm throwing the I'm just answering the questions in the Q&A panel, not the chat window there. Okay, so next one from Rosemary. Why does it say that the packs that I previously purchased are not compatible for CTA3 pipeline, are not compatible with CTA4 pipeline, yet those exact same packs are still available for purchase with CTA4? That's a good question. That should not be the issue. That should not be a problem for you. But if you do have that problem, I highly recommend contacting customer support because if they are indeed the same packs, then they should be backwards compatible. Everything with Cartoon Animator is backwards compatible all the way back to the very first version. So that should not be an issue for you. And I highly recommend contacting customer support. For those of you who don't know how to contact customer support, what you need to do is make sure you're logged into your account on the Reallusion main site. Get out of here, zoom, and just go up to your little icon, whatever it is, and go to support here. And I'm just going to copy the link address for you there. So make sure you're logged in and just go to this, and then I'll throw it in the chat window for you there. Any sort of technical issues, you can always contact them. Fill out a support ticket. Okay, next question, another one from Rosemary. Can I import my assets props from Moho to CTA4 pipeline? So not the Moho, you won't be able to use the Moho format. You can't use their proprietary format, but you'll be able to export to like PNG, JPEG, whatever, any sort of image you'll be able to export and import into Cartoon Animator 4. I hope that answers your question there. Let's go to the next one here from Elliot. Why grab a template from the free form bones and not draw them in composer mode? Very good question. And the reason is because if you don't have the template bone, then you're not going to be able to use these animations. So if I wanted to, say create a character, let's just say I brought in, I don't know, some random image. If I wanted to create thingamabob like this, just click and drag him in. And I can create him as a G3 freebone actor just as easily, okay, like this. And it'll go into composer mode, and I can just add those bones manually. So just like this, whoops, bone edit mode rather. This is for when you want to do it manually, or when you want to create the head. Bone editor, so add bones. So I can just go blink, blink, blink. Oh, you know what we did? We saved all those all the layers for Photoshop. So again, right click when you want to stop adding the bones. I was wondering why are those little crosshairs and stuff there. But so I can add the bones like that, and it's roughly the same amount of bones, right? So if I just close this down now and I go back into composer mode, or back into stage mode rather, where is he? There he is. Let's add it over here. So, okay, so now we have him. If I go to the content manager and I go to animation and the G3 spine animations, I try to apply it. Well, maybe I somehow, I think I actually added the exact same number of bones, surprisingly. So generally this isn't supposed to work, because if you have different amounts of bones, then it's not going to be able to do this, okay? So you're not gonna be able to apply any of these animations to your character there. It's pure luck that I actually added the exact same amount of bones there. But yeah, so say for example, I tried this. It's not going to do anything, right? So I try to apply these legs, leg step. It's not going to do anything, and that's what should happen if I didn't have the exact same number of bones or the exact same bone structure. It's actually purely fluke that I did that, but yeah, that's what would happen. Is you can only animate the characters using the 2D motion key editor, and of course you'd have to do it manually. So you kind of get the point there. We'd have to go like this frame, and then over here, we'd go to like here, and then over here, we'd go to like here, maybe up here, I don't know, whatever. So this would be like my manual animation. It's good music for a young leaf growing into a large leaf. Okay, let's hopefully that answers your question there, Elliot. Next question is from Rosemary. Could you please explain the average tool on the facial construction 360 head creation there? Yep. So again, it's just basically, let's bring in my character, custom character here. Let's get rid of this one with all the crosshairs on his face there. Shabam. Oh, actually, we should bring in the head, not the character. Whatever. I'll show you the same thing anyways. Let's go to composer mode here. And once we're in composer mode, go into 360 head creator. And so we have character from the left. So of course, only the eyes are moving right now. So we have the eyes over here and the eyes over here. Now, the right looks, the right is maybe not as far. The eyes aren't as far. The left, actually, the eyes are further. If we go to the right and the eyes are not as far, we can maybe just change the transform position of these eyes. So we'll go to transform here and go like, make them way out here. Let's make sure we can actually click on those eyebrows first. And just for fun, I'm going to make those eyebrows larger like this. So as the character moves to the left, we're going to make the eyes smaller and the eyebrows larger. This will be fun. Not too big, maybe something like that. And that mouth, let's make the mouth larger as well. And rotate it. Looks like some kind of evil psycho. Okay, so now we have the center like this, and the right side like that. And what you can do here now is you need to select, what is it here? How you add those things? Quick head turn setup. I haven't done this in ages. This one here, I believe. Wait. Oh, nope, not wait. Okay, yeah, just add one right this way. Press the add button. So what that does is it just kind of adds a point in between those two. I'm going to go out of this mode here. So we have this frame here, this one here, and this one here. What I can do here is just select it and use the average tool. And go to average between this one and this one. And it already automatically does that. But if we change it like this and change it like that and blah, blah, blah. So we really messed it up. What we can do is, so now it'd be like this. If we preview, it'll go, his eyes will go apart and together, apart and together. All right, so probably not something we'd want. So what you'd want to do is just go here and select average between this one and this one. And that's just the item we selected. I think we have to do for all of them, for all of the facial elements there. I think the eyebrows remained the way they should. Mouth, I don't think did. Yeah, there we go. All right, so back to normal. So that's what the average does. So basically, it just gives you, makes it a bit easier to create a smooth transition between one point and the next when you're doing the face 360 head creator there. So Elliot asks, now that you saved the head of the green poop, can you animate it with the free spine animation? So yeah, whenever you use the templates, that kind of goes back to your previous question, Elliot. Whenever you use the template, you're going to be able to animate that character using that template. If you use a free bone actor, then you can't use those template animations. You're restricted to frame by frame animation. Now you can still save your animations. You can still save them to your action menu and all that stuff, but you're not going to be able to use the Reallusion library of motion since there's not going to be any available for your custom character, right? Okay, so Elliot asks, can you morph the head and still use the 360 movement? Yeah, definitely. You can morph and move anything in this 360 head creator. So say, for example, I wanted his head, for some reason, I wanted his head to be smaller as he approaches this stage over here. Select the head. Wait, what are we doing here? There we go. Move the sprite over here. There we go. So what that would do, since I changed the sprite, we changed the sprite for the entire thing. Nope, we didn't want to do that. Let's take it back to middle and expand it. And I want to use transform, not sprite. So again, transform, it'll be blue. And we go to the side and zoop. I'm not sure why it's not allowing me to change this element here. This is a bug, probably. Really likely a bug. Unless I'm forgetting something. Nope. I think we're all buggered out. Yep. But anyways, you should be able to modify and morph that green poop thing like I did earlier. I did it earlier just to that section here. And you can see already that these points shouldn't be here. So something's buggy. Anyways, let's go to the next question then. But yes, you can do that, Elliot, to answer your question. Next question, another question from Rosemary. Is the FFD clip to be purchased separately? How does it differ to the other stuff I purchased when Elastic Motions were first introduced? So FFD clips are, oh yeah, see they're just kind of closed down. FFD clips are available in the content store. I'm sure, I think there's a bunch of them that are available with default with Cartoon Animator 4. I don't know, it's just and generally Google is just the fastest way to find things. Yeah, this is one of them. So Elastic Motions right here. I think this one is maybe a bit better. Prop Motions and SFX. Yeah, so this stuff is pretty cool too. And just search for it, and there's a whole bunch of content. I'm kind of a little outdated on the content for that, but yeah, those are essentially the FFD. Just reminder, those are I think it stands for freeform deformation. So that's how an easy way to remember it. But just the D on the end stands for deformation for sure. And they should be the same ones if you purchased them before. I don't think we've had an elastic motion content pack with Cartoon Animator 4 yet, so not sure, but there should be a lot of them available. Okay, so question from Raymond: is YouTube considered commercial for Bensound? Yeah, if you monetize your videos, for sure, they're considered commercial. Just, I mean, the rule of thumb is anytime you're making money, then you want to give credit where credit is due, and if you're making a larger amount of money, then they need royalties for that. There's various different licenses available that you can purchase. So I'm not too familiar with that because I don't really use anything for commercial use. More of a hobbyist. So next question from Jonathan: how do you add the thingamabob into the scene? Pretty simple. There's a couple of various ways you can do that. The easiest way, of course, is to click and drag. So if I have it saved in a folder, where I saved it over here. So you can click and drag anything into the scene, just like this, like logo 2, and import it in. So click and drag, import it as a prop. And of course, there is a way to also go to the content manager. Anything you've saved, you can double click it. Shazam. And it'll load into your screen that way. Or click and drag it. And if you click and drag one character on top of another, it'll replace that character along with all of the animations that character previously had. So if we import in Jim Suave over here, it'll replace Thingamabob. Or it should. We may have just frozen something again. Goodness gracious. Well, should be replacing it. Okay, I guess maybe that's only for characters who have the same bone structure. So importing in like Jim Plainclothes over Jim Suave would replace him. If you highlight the character and click and drag a character in, it'll replace that character that you had there previously with the same bone structure. All right, so we move on to the next question while we're waiting for that to load. Rick Petty asks, will you be sending the resource files to our email addresses? Yep. All the emails we have on file will be sending out all the product or all the files that I've used to your email there. All right. Next question from Eric. How can you have more than one character speak in the same scene? Well, Eric, we're going to cover all that in the webinar next week, but it's basically just the same process. Regardless of how many characters you have, you can have 1 million characters speaking in the same scene. And next week, we're going to talk about dialogue between 2 characters and facial animation and all that fun stuff. Okay, so question from Elliot. Can you show us the track as the character walks and how the camera follows him with the character in the middle of the screen? So in terms of that, let's see if we just have Jim just move across the scene here like that from frame 1 to frame 144. And if we go into camera mode right here, unfortunately with Cartoon Animator, there's no like look at camera, there's no follow camera or anything like that. So, but what you can do is if you press F3 and go into your timeline here, oh man, I have too many stuff open. Go over here to project, and you can see we have a camera track. All you really can do is just change the position of the camera. There's no like follow camera right now for this. So if I go to frame like 144, what was it? Then I can just move my camera over like this. Adds a keyframe in the camera track, but unfortunately there is no follow camera, so you just have to do it manually, really. And that's something that we hope to improve in the next version of he's floating. This is surreal. It's floating by some green poop in outer space. We just need stars in the background. Yeah, but there's no automatic way to do that, unfortunately, right now. All right, so sorry about that. That's going to be in the next version. We're going to have some camera stuff. Next one from Michael. The biggest learning curve I've had is using Affinity to create the PSD files. Is the workflow in Affinity the same as Photoshop? Yeah, absolutely. Affinity Designer, whatever, Photoshop, whatever software you use to create your characters and your props, it's basically the same workflow. Although, of course, with the PSD pipeline, you're able to just click on this and import, create a character from a file, like a PSD file, okay, from any object or whatever. Yeah, there's various ways to modify or to customize your character from there. Well, I don't know why it opened up System 32. Weird. What's going on here? I don't know if I can find a PSD file somewhere. I believe I should have one here. Yeah, there we go. Price. So it'll launch that. And then just go, yeah, update, whatever. Cool. And then you have this, and then basically that's just creating an object, and the pipeline to Photoshop. I mean, Affinity Designer doesn't have this one specifically, so. But essentially has the same capacity, same capabilities, just a little bit of a workaround to launching stuff. So hopefully that answers your question there, Michael. Next question from Ernesto. Can you make the background of a scene to be out of focus? No, unfortunately, we don't have depth of field effects right now, but they are working on that for the next version. I know that for sure. The only way to make the background blurry would be to physically actually blur it. So if you take your character, for example, you can also right click your character and launch in PSD editor. Yeah, whatever. Launch it. And then let's say this green character was the background, for example. So there, where's the blur stuff? We'd probably have to just, I don't know, we're going to just merge everything. And then we can use a filter, blur. I don't know, blur. Why didn't it blur? Maybe it's too detailed. But you should be able to do that at least. Blur more. I think it is kind of blurring the edges, but it's just not very noticeable. Let's try this one, for example. This will give us some more options. There we go. That's it's a bit more of an effect. Maybe not that much. Let's try 10. All right, cool. File, save. Apply, yes. And then it should update. Oh, structures. Oh, stupid. It's because it's trying to update a character, not a background. Whereas basically just do the same thing if you have a prop. So yeah, this would be a cool one. Whoops. Scene manager. Where is that? Oh, we just added it as a background. Dang it. Sorry, guys. I'll get to it eventually. Let's just find a simple one that we can throw in there. the stage will work fine. Of course, we need to bring our character in front of the stage. So if you wanted to blur the background, basically same process, just convert everything to a prop, I guess. And let's just take this one and launch PSD editor. Yeah, so it's a vector element to whatever element. There we go. And basically the same thing to this one. Except you would have to go into here. So yeah, I mean, things like this, just select all these, filter, or you can just do one, but just do this one, I guess, one by one. Whatever. Field blur. As you can see, I'm kind of Photoshop dumbass sometimes. But, there you go. We shouldn't have that issue any longer in Cartoon Animator. Yeah, you have to keep the structure the same. So again, I just blurred that one section there. So, you know, that's one way you could have, you know, maybe the front curtain is a little bit closer towards the camera and this back curtain is a little bit blurred. So you do something like that. That's the workaround to how you would blur something right now. Okay, so spend a bit too much time on that. Let's go to the next question from Phineas. Can you do a webinar on how to create props such as doors, windows, opening and closing, et cetera, et cetera? Yeah. Let's see. I think in the third webinar we do talk about opening and closing a door. So make sure you're in here for the third webinar, and you'll learn more about that. Creating a prop like a door and opening and closing it. It's just some visual trickery is all it is, really. Next question from Daniel. Is it possible to create a menu where, okay, is it possible, I think you're talking about maybe like a game, interactive game or something. Is it possible to create a menu where, like a quiz, you press A, the story goes on to one section, and B, the story goes on to the other? Yeah, it's definitely possible to do that, but not in Cartoon Animator, because Cartoon Animator is not an interactive medium. You need to use a game engine like Unity. Unity has a fairly good 2D tools for game engines, for a game engine. So I'd recommend taking a look at Unity there, Daniel. That's a good one to use for 2D anyways. So question from Adams. So you want the guy to move, stand still, and move again. Would the proper way to be to put the keyframes at the start of where the stationary part begins and then another where it ends? So having something move, I'll just clear everything off my screen since it's kind of annoying. Let's have a thingamabob as a prop. We'll have him move, stop, and then move again. So from frame 1 to frame 50, we'll have him move. And then from frame 50 to frame 100, we don't want him to move at all. So I'm going to press F3 and go into the timeline. The easiest way to do this, just go into your transform track. And you'll see we have two keyframes here. We have one keyframe at frame 0, or frame 1 rather, and one at 50. Now, if I went to frame 100 and I move my character, all that's going to happen, he's not really going to stop in the middle. He's going to just keep on going like this the entire way, so he won't stop. So for however long you want him to stop, just copy that keyframe at frame 50. So right click it and copy it, and then paste it like wherever you want. Say for frame 50 to frame 80, you want him to stop. So now it'll be like this. He'll stop here and boom, he'll continue the rest of the way. That's really the easiest way to have your character or whatever prop, anything you want, go, stop, and then go again. That's just the way I would do it. All right, hopefully that answers your question there, Adam. Next question from Vicky. In your ad, you changed the background to a scene. Can you tell me how to do that, please? Okay, so yeah, changing a background to a scene again. Backgrounds, you can't change a background. So if I go to like background down here and I import in the stage, if you import something as a background, it's just going to be basically stuck. I don't recommend really using the background at all. I've never really used it in most of my productions. So it's kind of useless, to be honest. You go to a scene manager, it doesn't show up in the scene manager. It just shows up as a background. So if you go to your, I'm not even sure if it shows up in project. No, it's just like something that just stays there, which is basically useless. So I never use backgrounds myself. Just use a scene, save things as a scene, and then go to your scene manager. Anything you want can be converted. So like this beach ball, for example, we can right click and convert that to a prop right here. Now it'll be in the prop section. If we want this chair to be a prop separate, you right click it, convert it to prop. Okay. You can also do the same thing. If I click on everything in the scene, and it doesn't matter what's selected or not, you can just right click in the entire scene and convert it to prop. Now everything will be a prop. Okay. Pretty straightforward, I think. Question from Phineas again. There are packs for something like this. If you want to create a nice scene, but scenes for like going down a trapdoor or something spooky don't really cover it. If that's the case, Phineas, what I would recommend doing is going to going to the marketplace here. There's a lot of stuff in the marketplace that isn't in the content store yet, and I'll throw this in the chat window for you guys. Again, just to repeat, I'm going to be only answering questions from the Q&A window there. So we can go to Cartoon Animator, scene. There's like 3,526 scenes. So I think there's got to be something like creepy or Halloween. We can even just probably search for like Halloween or creepy. Since Halloween is coming up, there you go, some creepy Halloween stuff from Gary Pye. And I'm sure there's a lot more if you search just for something other than creepy. Maybe search for like Halloween. Oops, Halloween. There you go. So tons of like Halloween stuff in the marketplace. So for the marketplace link in the chat window for you guys. There you go. Okay, next question is from Cliff. Can I set up CTA4 to import to a drawing program other than Photoshop? Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have Photoshop, I know a lot of people use GIMP or Affinity Designer. I think you just go to Preferences here. And under Image Editor, just load up your exe file for whatever image editor you want to use. Okay, mine's obviously Adobe Photoshop. Okay, and launch settings, you can adjust these launch settings as well. Photopia, or Photopia, whatever you want to call it. This is one that's available with the pipeline version of Cartoon Animator. And this allows you to modify in your browser, which is pretty cool. I don't have it installed since I have Photoshop, but Photopia is this one here, online image editor. So this is a really cool one that I can recommend for a lot of people can try out. I'll throw that in the chat window for you. There you go. Yeah, but you can just go into your preferences there, Cliff. So next question from Daniel. With face cap and leap motion, is it possible to play live characters on a streaming platform for live content on YouTube, Twitch, etc.? Yeah, I mean, well, Twitch is just basically broadcasting whatever's on your screen. So you can definitely do that. YouTube, same thing. So yeah, I highly recommend trying that out. In terms of broadcasting to another like application, we don't have that quite yet. We have that for iClone when it broadcasts into Unreal Engine for game design, but for character creator, Cartoon Animator, not quite yet. Next question from Adam. Yeah, I think Adam's just answering someone else's question there, so thanks for that, Adam. Question from Rosemary, it's already answered. So Elliot mentions here, by morphing, I meant doing a head morph where you add eyes, mouths, etc. when you animate a picture. Add eyes, mouths, etc. when you animate a picture. Yeah, so there's different types of morph of character head. There's morph-based character heads, and there's sprite-based. There are two different ones, and they animate in different ways. Yeah, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next webinar there, Elliot. Or maybe you can always email me as well, kai@reallusion.com, and I'll be able to answer any questions you have about that, because I'm not really clear exactly. Possibly thinking about the deform just kind of popped into my mind there, but when you deform characters, it's kind of the same as similar to transform. Let's go ahead and just throw an actor in there. Jim Plainclothes on the scene. I'm going to move to the next question while he loads up there. So David asks a good question. How do I change the face color and cloth color for a G3 character? There's a couple of ways you can do this. The easiest way is to, I don't know why Jim's taking so long to load. The easiest way to change your character's skin color is to use Photoshop. What is going on here? Okay, there we go. Let's go to, you can also use this thing here called render style. This normally doesn't work though, unless your character is naked. It only works for certain characters where you've defined the, take the brightness down. It's going to take the brightness down on your entire character in this case. We used to have sprite-based characters that had different render sections, different groups. These are the G2 characters. So you can try this if your character is completely, nude, but that's not something I would recommend. Well, now he's going to be dark forever. But to change your character's skin color, the easiest way to do is just in Photoshop. So not sure why this character is being so dumb. Because I have some weird stuff on him or something. Let's just delete this character and bring in another one. Let's just bring in a standard character here. So if we want to make Philip, we want to change him to black or white or green or yellow. The best way to do it is right-click him, launch PSD editor, and launch from here. And it'll launch Philip in the editor here, and then just make sure you have the head selected. Let's go to our all talking head, center. And again, this gets a little complex. Make sure our face is selected here, face image, and just make it green. So now he's like the Green Hornet, I guess. I don't know. And then just go File and Save. Again, you'll have to do this for all the other sections as well. So it's a little bit more complex. And we do have tons of tutorials, by the way, on character modification and character creation and stuff. So there you go. Looks like he has a green mask on now. Cool. But yeah, if you go to Cartoon Animator, the website, oh, we already have Reallusion opened up. There's a learning center on every product page. So just go up to Learn and Tutorials. There you go. And there's stuff on character creation right here. So 2D character creation, G3 characters, G3 freebone characters. PSD import export workflow. Okay, so these are just the all the tutorials we have. There's tons of them. So hopefully you'll be able to get your questions answered. Okay, next question from Adam. Can you reuse the thingamabob guy as a living Christmas tree, or maybe sentient soft serve mint ice cream? Yeah, absolutely. You can do that. You can reuse him as anything. He's a thingamabob, right? And you paid like $250,000 for him. So in all seriousness though, yeah, you can use the character as anything. So I showed you how to import him as a prop, import him as a face only, and import him as a body with an invisible face. Endless options for all those three types of characters. So Jonathan, can you show how your sad guy walking in the scene? Yeah, so the sad guy walking in the scene, let's just go back to, let's actually load that previous project. If I wanted to move him forward, it's very easy. Where am I here? Project, oh, custom, there we go. If I want to have him move forward, I can actually have the rain cloud follow along with him. So that'll be kind of an interesting little thing to do. So let's have him maybe frame 1 to frame like 350. He'll move forward. So take the character and then move him forward, just like that. You'll see there's a green line behind him. And if we press F3 and go into the timeline, we go to the transform track. There's one keyframe at frame 1 and one at frame 350. Maybe he's walking too slow, so you can bring that keyframe, click and drag it up to 250. All right, maybe even closer up. I think that works about fine. And what we can do is we can actually take this cloud and we can link it to our character. So select link and link it to whatever, his chest is fine. You can do the same thing for the rain. So drizzle, go up here and link to our character's chest. Okay, and yep, probably not the chest, because what you're seeing is it's rocking back and forth. So I'm going to link it actually to the character's hip or the head, hip or head. It should be able to, yeah, I guess in this case, we need to maybe try the arm. Link it to the arm. Let's do the forearm there. That works a bit better. Okay, still rocking back and forth. But what you'd want to have is like potentially, preferably part of your character that's not moving. Like my character's hips are moving because he's walking, but preferably something that's not moving. And another way you can do that is probably attaching a prop to your character's, or having a prop follow your character, and just attach the prop to the other prop. But anyways, that's how you can animate a character moving forward in your scene there. So Raymond asks, are there any Cartoon Animator 4 text creation and animations? Yeah, there's a few. Nothing really worth noting though. You're the content manager under SFX. There's some objects and some sound and some text stuff here. Not really flexible. These are from Cartoon or character, or it was Crazy Talk 1 at that point, Crazy Talk Animator. So I wouldn't recommend really using them. I'd recommend basically creating your own, importing those in, or else using the ones that are available for purchase from the content store, Raymond. Next question from Stefan. How to scroll a landscape on an image in perspective. As in to create a person who runs in place, but the landscape scrolls. Well, there's a couple ways to do that. The first way is to move your camera along with your character. So if in this case, I could go to camera mode and focus on my character here. And then we'll go to frame, what is it? When we stop walking, this frame here. So I could go like this. That's one way. Okay, so he's actually walking through the street. The other way would be to have the entire background move. So if we select the scene and convert it all to props, okay, because we need to move the props, right? So we convert all to props and then just move it all like this. It'll have the scene move extra fast in the background. So those are the two ways to do it. One way is you can move everything in your scene one direction, and you can move your character the other direction. That's really the only ways to do it there. Question from Rosemary: can we import external video as a background? Yeah, absolutely. You can import video as a background as well. Not sure if I have any video to show you, but maybe in production resources somewhere. Handsome, athletic African-American man. What do I have that? Let's just start a new project to show you here. Or maybe teenage school kids preparing for exams. Click and drag it into your scene as a background. There you go. Wow, what a bunch of good students. They're really, there's even two of them drawing on the page at the same time. They're just drawing a bunch of nonsense. I love these stock videos. They don't make any sense. Anyways, that's how you import in videos as a background. But again, like I said before, I don't really recommend using backgrounds. I'd probably recommend importing it as a prop or an image layer. Probably in my case, I would normally say a prop. Just because props are more flexible. You can move them around. You can resize them, right? And you can change their position and so on and so forth. Backgrounds, you can't do that. So I think the background option is pretty useless, actually. So Raymond asked the best way to reduce feet slipping for character's walk cycle. I kind of just went through that a little bit. You can adjust the position of your keyframe in the timeline, or you can just adjust the character's position to further or closer further down the line. I'll show it briefly again. Just because it's something that's a very common question that gets asked all the time. So if we want to move our character forward, frame like 300. So we'll go over here. His feet are probably going to be sliding a bit. I mean, actually, it looks not bad. But another way, if you don't want to go into too much, if you don't want to go into your timeline, sometimes you can actually just take this little button here and move it further down. So if I move it down here, his feet are probably going to be sliding. Yeah, so his feet are sliding right now. So, I mean, one way to do that, one way to fix it is to move this point closer. This is probably what I would do. Maybe a bit further. Okay, that looks fine to me. Or the other option is just to, you know, have it done in less number of frames. So if I press F3 and go into the timeline, transform. So there you go. Or if you wanted to, you could have it. So that basically does the same thing. Oops, created a second keyframe there. We don't want that. So basically that does the same thing. If you just take your character and move it at that frame, it does the same thing as taking that little knob there and moving it back and forth. And mix, rinse and repeat, and you get your foot sliding taken care of. Question from Kendra. Based on the promo you provided, iClone doesn't appear to work on a MacBook. Can you suggest any alternatives? So yeah, unfortunately, iClone doesn't work for Mac. Rather, we don't have a Mac version. The only option would be to use Boot Camp for your Mac and load it up as a PC. We do have some users that do that. They refuse to use a PC, so they'll just use a Mac and load up Boot Camp, and therefore you're able to use iClone that way. That's the only option really for users of iClone who want to use their Mac. Okay, so question from anonymous attendee. Cartoon Animator 4 only allows for one audio track, right? If so, what software do you recommend for adding sound effects? I use Adobe Premiere for adding like all the audio into my final project. Adobe Premiere might be overkill for some of you, but other options, you know, like Camtasia or gosh, I don't know, whatever software you have that is basically a video editing software. You can add infinite number of audio tracks that way. Cartoon Animator 4 is limited to 3 at this point, but I think we'll add more in the future, hopefully. All right, so Rosemary is an advocate for backgrounds. Yeah, it can be useful sometimes in certain scenarios. I haven't really used any in any of my scenarios recently, but I'm glad you find them useful. Phineas asks, is it possible to turn a background into a prop so you can use it like a layer of a scene? No, unfortunately not. Backgrounds, it's one of the drawbacks is they can't be converted to props and so on and so forth. Scenes and props are interchangeable. Question from Stephanie. Yes. Oh, so sorry, Stephane. Sorry, Stefan. How to scroll a landscape on an image in perspective, but the landscape scrolls. Yeah, I kind of just showed that in my previous example. And if you want to show it again, you can always. I can always just. You can always email me privately as well. Question from Daryl. Can we do a bit on using handheld props with hands, like a product demo with a cup or a sword? Yeah, we're also going to talk about picking up a cup in next week's webinar. So having a character pick up a prop and put it down, hand it to another character, which is kind of, again, just some visual trickery. So stay tuned for next week's webinar there, Daryl. At least register, and we can always send you the video if you don't have time. Question from Robert Martone. Can you link your background to a second background image? Yeah, you should be able to. I mean, as long as it's a prop, you can link any prop to another prop. So that's one way that you could possibly, you know, have the entire scene. Like you can basically link everything in the scene. If they're props, you can link it all to a single prop and just move that prop. That's the cool thing about linking in animation tools is you can just link anything to anything, really, as long as in Cartoon Animator, as long as they're props. Question from Linda. Can you take your final animation and use it in a Camtasia project? Yeah, absolutely. There's no restrictions on doing that. Just export it as a whatever format you want. You go to render, render video, render image. Okay, you can also export your entire scene as a PSD file as well. So if I want to do that like this, export. Let's just save it to our desktop. Cool scene. Oops. That'll take a minute to save. But yeah, no problem. You can definitely do that, Linda. Render as a video file, and all these formats are supported here. Okie dokes. And where's our cool scene? We can bring that into Photoshop. No, I don't want to bring it into this project. There's our scene. And the cool thing about this is it basically saves everything as a layer. So if I wanted to, oops, everything here, see the store, make it invisible in Photoshop. You can probably draw something on there. And again, this feature is only available with the pipeline version. So just be aware of that. Okay, so you can export your entire scene. Alrighty. That's basically, we have one more question from Tibor. Would a virtual machine like Parallels or Fusion work instead of Boot Camp to run on a Mac? Yep, absolutely. Any virtual machine will work to run Cartoon Animator 4. The system requirements of Cartoon Animator 4 aren't that high. So, I mean, most Macs will be able to take care of it. All right, but we're about an hour overtime here. So I'm gonna, since you have no more questions as well, I'm gonna just thank everyone so much for attending today. And don't forget to fill out the survey that we're going to send out to you guys. We are always looking for your feedback on future topics that you want to learn about. I know we have a lot of software, a lot of stuff to learn, but we're always here to teach you and make sure you're able to utilize the projects or the products to their full potential. Yeah, I think so. We're going to just sign off then. Again, everyone, thank you so much for attending. We're going to send out the link for the video for you so you can watch on your own time as well. You can also check out our forums at forum.reallusion.com and get a ton of questions answered there. We have a really great community of users that are able to help out. And that's about it. So I'm going to sign off and say adios. What's the other one? The German one. Anyways, I'm just thinking of Edelweiss. We'll just say goodnight to everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. And I will bid you adieu.